Hey everybody, my name is Michael Mandela and I'm here to deliver my oral presentation speech for emergency management. The topic I decided to choose was gender issues dealing with disaster. Basically what that is men and women, although they do have a lot of similar issues that they share and deal with when assessing and recovering from a disaster and almost essentially trying to survive, there are a lot of different things that both women have to deal with that men don't, and men have to deal with that women don't. I guess I'll start first with the men. Men, in fact, are the front runners in the recovery process more so over women. They are the masculine leaders that essentially get a lot more of the work done when recovering and have a better chance of survival because of their characteristics and physical attributes. Where they become vulnerable is allowing all that to get to their head. Them essentially thinking they're invincible. Their pride gassing their head up so much that they think that they don't need to go seek assistance or help. Wrong. Everybody needs help at some point. I myself can relate to this. I think that I can do everything myself and don't ever need help. And I've almost essentially shot myself in the foot and screwed myself more than I would have if I would have just put my pride aside for 20 minutes and said, hey, I need some help. So men become very vulnerable when dealing with disasters because they think that they can do it by themselves, and it really hinders their process of recovery. Moving over to women. Women, on the other hand, are not as strong, very strong mentally, but physically, I should say, not as physically strong as men, and do need assistance. Single parents who have houses that get destroyed and have kids, they need to seek a shelter home. They go take their kids, themselves as a single mom to a shelter home. There's been multiple cases in the article that I read of women, physically and sexually being abused and violated. And that makes them a lot more vulnerable in a sense to, trying to become safe and, recover. I can't imagine, my mom taking me to a place and watching her get abused and us not being able to do anything as young kids and not go anywhere because we don't have a home. That's just, absolutely outrageous. So that makes them a little bit more vulnerable than men in the sense that they're not physically as strong to be able to protect themselves and, get things done and fix things up as fast as a male would. Another thing I want to harp on is how, the rights of, us Americans, both men and women have the same rights. It's equal. We're free to do anything we want. But women in other countries aren't. Some women aren't allowed to go out and wear whatever they want to wear, do what they want to do, and that immediately puts them at a disadvantage, especially at a time of disaster. If everyday life is difficult for them to live, imagine how much more difficult it is for them to go about relieving themselves and recovering and, essentially trying to survive when men are already placed on a higher pedestal than they are. I also want to cite where I'm getting all this information from. My source was the Bureau for Crisis Prevention and Recovery. It has a lot of great information on it. Even if this isn't your topic, I would highly recommend everybody just taking a quick skimp over this article. It's actually unreal. I want to also jot down a couple fast facts that I found. Here's one. Women, boys, and girls are 14 times more likely than men to die during a disaster. That's a staggering number. That also shows that men are a little bit more likely to survive and, overcome the disaster themselves as opposed to a woman, young boy, or a young girl. One other thing I want to close with is most of the victims trapped in the New Orleans hurricane, when Hurricane Katrina hit, were African American women and their children, the poorest demographic group in the part of the country. Women in that area were very poor without a male, puts them at another very high risk situation where they're not able to fend for themselves, and that again ties into the fact of them being scared to go seek out those shelter places, and it really hindered their process of recovery once again. So overall, what I gathered from this was men are able to essentially overcome these obstacles a little bit better than women, but do have their weak spots. And women really have to be able to trust and have a good friend group and, a shelter place that they, feel safe at. Because if not, they will get taken advantage of. Thank you guys again. I hope you enjoyed the video.